Hello everyone, today we shall be looking at developing an application that is able to send emails using Next. We shall be working with packages like NodeMailer, a templating engine which is also a package called DJS. Some of you might be interested in using Let's Handlebars or JED, you can look them up. So these are well-known libraries that have been used in the JavaScript community. So I have the website for EJS open here. Someone can quickly look through and see how you can use it, as well as that of NodeMailer if you are interested on how to send emails in post JavaScript, that is Node or Next. And as well, I have the Tailwind website open here, but we might not use it a lot. So it is just to create a simple form. I have the Next documentation as well that we shall be looking into in case we find a challenge along the way. And here I have my application running on localhost 3000 of, with the default page that Next comes with. So here I have what we shall be doing, and I've already created an application using npx create next app at latest, and I'm calling it email sender app. Of course, I'm putting in some linting. You can run this command, and if you don't want to use the name email sender app, you can always change this to the name of your application that we're interested in. So when you run this, you'll be asked a couple of questions. Those I've answered. I chose not to use TypeScript. I'll be asked whether to use Tailwind CSS or not. I chose to use Tailwind. I was asked to choose whether I should have a folder called src. I opted for that, and then I also opted to use the app router. The turbo pack, no, I customize the imports so that I don't have to write dot dot. Then I customize that to use an art followed by the path of what I want to access. And when you're done with this, of course, next we'll create an application for you in that directory where you've run this command from. And then next, what you do, you install these packages. The first package is NodeMailer, the other one is EJS, and we shall be using copy webpack plugin as a dev dependency to help us copy our email templates from the location they are created into the .next folder. And the reason is we want really our development, the way we develop and work, keep our templates to be the same, like where they will be kept when we put them in production or when we build this application with Docker, which we shall not be covering in this. But from the tests that I found out that if I don't copy them into the next folder, next by default doesn't copy them. So there is another way when you run the build that we shall see in our package.json on how to copy them. So what we will be doing, we shall design the form, we shall develop the API to send, then we shall connect the form to the API. Of course, we've done the installation already. By now I have them installed. We shall be looking at the package.json, then we shall design the template. Yeah, this template we might design it together, or from the project I was testing it with, we can just copy that to limit the duration of the recording. Then we shall work on the logic, update the email post endpoint, and test the email functionality. So that's what we shall be doing, and we shall follow this in order. Quickly, let's say you are new to Next. Of course, when you run the dev server, Next creates a .next folder where it contains a couple of files and folders. You don't need to care about this because it is done automatically, but we shall see when we use the copy web plugin how we are able to copy a particular folder that contains our templates into this .next folder. Then node modules, as we are aware, we have the public where we put all the files that we want to access in the browser, and then we have the source where we shall be writing our code, and some other files here for configurations like ESLint, JSConfig, nextconfig, where we shall be configuring our copy webpack plugin. Here we have the package.json file I was talking about. We have a couple of scripts here. We have the dev dependencies. We have the actual dependencies that we shall be used. I've already installed EJS, Node Mailer, I already React Domain Next installed by default. Then I have the dev dependencies where I've only added copy webpack plugin. So let's now start working on the application. You'll notice here that I have the default Next application running in the browser, so I want to delete most of those because I won't be using them, and then from there we shall start designing our page. But we might not do a lot of designing. I might just copy and paste, and then we take it from there. So in here I'm going just to create a simple form. So I'll first delete the main, hit the footer, and then shall work from this section. So what do we need? We can have, let's an h1 here, and then maybe to say email notification. When we save, we confirm okay, we are working with the actual page. So now here we can have a form, but what I would do just to save time so that we get to the good parts, and this is not a tutorial for next, so I will just copy a few things that I've done. I'll paste here, and then we shall fix some of the warnings that we are getting here. So if we look through, we shall see that we have just a form, and in the form we have a couple of next tailwind classes, and here we have an on submit for the form, and we say handle submit, so we shall be developing that logic soon. And then down here what we have, we shall always be receiving our response when it comes back. Let's say message was successful or not, we shall be receiving this and showing it to the user in this particular section. Then here we have our first input. So first input, we have a label first name, and here also we are setting whenever the name changes, we shall be setting our state. The same thing, we have the last name, and we shall be setting the last name. These are just typical React way of working with state. Then we have a section where we shall be writing the email to which we shall be sending what we shall have developed in the template, and the names that will be listed here. And then down here we have a few checks. So the first one is meant to show the button, and the last one is meant to show the loading. Let's say someone is submitting data, then this will show. Otherwise, if they are not, the button will be showing. So I'll have this put onto GitHub for those who will be interested to look at it. But now, before we cause any error, so what we are going to do, we shall be writing that logic so that we see the form appear. So the first thing we shall do here is to have our state. So we shall say const, we shall call it form data, and then here we shall have set form data. This we are getting from the use state from React, and then in here we shall put an object. By default, we expect the first name, we expect the last name, excuse me, and then the email that the user puts in. So those are the three things we expect, as you've seen from the form. Now as you've seen, also we have some state here which says is disabled. Also we need to provide that state up here. So next one shall say is disabled, set is disabled, like that. And then here we shall say use state, and by default we shall set this to false. Now the next one, we saw we have a message that comes back called the response message, so we shall also create a state for that. Please note there are many ways of how you can achieve this, though I'm choosing to do it this way, so you can look up a couple of ways of how you can achieve what I'm doing while working with the state. So with this we shall also need to turn this component into a client component in Next. And then lastly, what we need to do is to of course handle two things. We need to create a function for set change, and then we need also to create a function for handle submit. So we shall have these two functions here. We might not have anything for now in them, but we can say const set change, and then for set change we shall expect an event because we are picking data from the inputs there. We are missing an assignment operator here. Then the other one is handle submit, and also for handle submit what we shall do for now, we shall just expect an event from there, and then we shall have this. So with this I expect that when I save I should be able to see my form which appears here. It expects the first name, the last name, the email, and then the send button down here. So as I mentioned, this code will be available for on a GitHub repository for anyone who will be interested in looking at it. So we shall write some logic here just to capture the data. Of course, when you look at this, you see that each and every input takes in whenever there is a change in the input, it calls the set change function up there. So what we need to do here is just to get access to that information. So we shall get the name and then the value from the event target. So when we go back and look at a given input like this, so we are looking for the name, this one, first name, and then we look at the value that is there. The same thing we do here when it comes to this input. And now what we shall do now, we shall update our state. So our state, if you remember, this is this initial state, the form data. So we shall update that. We shall get what is available in the form data currently, and then we shall update that. So we do a spread. We spread what is available, try copying what is available, and then we set the change, what has changed to that particular value. So we also look out for this name, which can be first name, and then we set the change in the value. So by doing this, we know that when we type in data here, let's say we type in Isaac, you see that it gets updated. When we type in another name here like Tom, that is the same thing. The same will go for emails. So we shall not be doing any sort of validation. We are just enforcing them to be required. If you look here, then we let HTML take care of that. So we shall be writing the handle submit function later after we if we go back to look at our plan. From our plan, we design the form, which we've done, design the email post API. So now we move to designing the email post API. What now we are going to do inside the app, we shall be creating another folder called API, and inside the API here we shall create a folder called email. So this is what we shall be using as our route that will be receiving requests, and inside here we shall create a file called routes. We shall be creating a file called route.js like that. So that's that's the file that will be receiving our requests. And also we shall need another folder, excuse me, which will be the utils folder. Inside the API here, we shall create another folder, which of course we shall create another folder called utils, where we shall be writing a, let's just create a file called email.js. In here we shall have the logic for emails. So when you look through here, there is a simple example that we can work with. So first of all, they create a transporter there from node mailer. So we shall be using ES6, importing node mailer key, node mailer from node mailer. Then excuse me, we shall import also EJS, because we are going to use it as a templating engine from EJS. Then we shall be importing one of the available modules within node, that is the path, and that we shall be using to access the path of the templates that we shall be working with. So here, first of all, we shall use the same. I think we can just quickly copy this and replace. So we copy that, drop it here, and then we shall be changing this to our host, which we shall be putting in our .env file. So we are saying .that .host. Then on the port as well, we shall be accessing the port from our .env file. So secure, for now we shall use false. Yeah, which was false still. So and on the auth, excuse me, on the auth, the email also, we shall be setting this email in our .env file, .env. So we shall call it from mail address, like that. And then our password as well will be, oh my bad, process .env mail password, like that. So this is the setup you need to have. So you need to describe the host of your SMTP, the port that they're going to use, and then the email that you are using to send, as well as the password for that email. So as well, because we are going to be working with templates, we don't want to just have just a simple email where we just send a simple text. We want to have a template that we can inject data in. So the next piece we shall be doing is to render the EJS template. So we shall add another folder here called templates. Yeah, shall add another folder here called templates, and the name of the template that we shall be creating, we are going to just call it a test email.ejs. So email.ejs, and here we shall have our EJS, which is more so an HTML but with more powers that allow us to inject dynamic data. So in here in our template, we shall of course create a basic HTML page, which will have, we shall replace this where we have the document with our title, and you can read it up. The syntax is like this. if we want EJS to execute to replace this with some given data that will be passed later. And I won't type this, but I will be using a table, so I will quickly just copy a few things, but I need to add some styles here. Which have shall have the margin set to 0, then padding also set to 0, and then the rest I will just quickly pick something and then drop it here as a table. We can quickly walk through this, but this is just a sketch table with some CSS. So when you see here we have a table, and we are using the table row, we pass a background, then we pass the email title inside a table header, and then we say email sender system. So here we say dear user, then we pass in a dynamic first name, a last name. These come from the actual form that we have here. Has been sent, has sent you an email. This email was sent to, then we pass in the actual email that has been given by the sender, and here we just dynamically load the year we are in, so that if you continue to use this template, it will always reflect the current year that you are in. So that's it about the template. IJS just gives us the power to repress this instead of having everything put together in here in the email functionality as working with template retros. So now here what we are going to do is we are going now to work on the EJS template, how we can render it. So we shall create a function called render template, and this function it will take in the template name and also the data that we want to inject in the template. And yep, and first of all, what we shall need to do is to construct the path, and then we are able to read from that path. We read the template, and then from that template we inject the data. So the first thing we shall do, we shall say const template path. This will be the path to where we shall find the template. So that is the purpose of the path module that we brought in. Then here we shall access the process, say current working directory. So from the process excuse me, of whichever operating system you are running, we shall access the current working directory, and there we shall look into the .next folder, and then we shall look for a folder called templates. Why we are doing this, you notice that we have our templates inside source, app, API, email, rather API templates, then you have the template. But why we are doing this is because we are going to use the package we just installed called Copy Webpack plugin to, whenever Next is running, to be able to copy whatever is inside these templates into the .next folder. Excuse me. So when you look through the .next folder, you don't see anything like templates, but we are going to have that in a minute, this one. So how are we going to achieve that? We shall come into the next.config.mjs, and then we shall write some code. So what we shall do first of all will be to import that package at the top here. We shall do an import, so import, so you copy webpack plugin from copy webpack plugin, that one. Then once we import that, here what we shall do is we shall create a key, because this is an object which we are calling webpack, and which we shall assign a function to. And from webpack there is the config, as well as with this structure out is server, which checks whether webpack is the one serving your application at that given moment. So we shall now check for if it's not server, then we shall push this. We shall say config.plugins dot push, and then in the config we are adding a particular configuration, and we say new webpack plugin, the one we've just imported up there, and we shall use this to specify a pattern. So for this pattern is added to an array, and from the pattern we describe the from, where do we want to copy this from. We shall say src app API, then templates. So where do we want it to go? We want it to go to the templates. So when we say this, what happens is that webpack will just copy whatever is available. Webpack will just copy whatever is available. Oh, we are getting an error. Webpack config is undefined. You may have forgotten to return. Okay, we needed to of course return something at the end when we are finalizing here. This one, we need to return the config. We need to return the config. So we shall just run the server again, and now yeah, so now you notice that when we check the next folder, we have a folder called templates, which has our test email file that we shall be using. So now back to this. When we come back here where we are specifying which path to use, now we are able to say go into the next folder and then look for templates. So then we didn't want this to be so long, so we go to another line, and then now we access the actual template. So we shall still say path.join, and we are picking what we have as this path on line 17, and then now using it to do our next join. And here of course we shall use the template literals, because this name can be dynamic. You might have multiple EJS files, and here we add the extension. So excuse me, what this will give us is it will give us the actual file. Now we have access to the actual file, but because we want to inject data, so we shall be using a promise here. It might take some time to read and then inject that data. So we shall have a promise, and then in the promise we shall have a function, of course, that takes in the resolve and the reject, and then we shall call the EJS, and we call method on EJS called lender template. So then we shall pass in the template that we've constructed up there, like the path to the template, as well as the template, then also the data that has been given to us by the user. And in here we shall look at the error, if there is an error, or if we get the actual data, which we are calling HTML. So here we say if error, then we shall reject with the error, or else what we shall be doing is we shall resolve with the HTML. Shall resolve with the HTML here. So that's it about rendering the template. Now, one last thing we need to do, remember, excuse me, we have the out transport here that is meant to assist us send our email, but also we also have our template here loaded, but we need to have a way of how we can send these emails. So the last function that we shall be working on is to the send mail function. uh, Most of these are available on the NodeMailer website, so you can look them up. What we shall do here, we expect the to, that is the email we are sending to. Expect the to, that is the email we are sending to. Expect the subject, that is the subject of the email. Then we expect to have the template name, that of course we need to pick from what is available in the template folder. Then we have template name, then we have the template data, and here what we do, we shall use a try and catch block, so that if there is an error, we are able to return this error to us. So we shall say throw new error, and then here we shall get the error dot message. Now let's work on the logic. So first of all, what we shall do, we shall say const html, this can be any variable, and then we shall await, because we are going to call the function up there called render template, and we are giving it the template name, followed by the template data. It had to be data. We use data, so it's still okay, because if it says consistent it will work, but let's use data. Now here we construct an object with the email options, and then here we shall do the from. So in the from, what I want to do is I want to get hold of something from my environment variables, .env from, where is that email coming from. Here we shall use the username, so that we want to show the username as well as the email from where this email is coming from. So want process dot env dot from mail address, like that. So now the next one will be where we're sending the email, that will be coming from the page, then followed by the subject, and the actual HTML, which HTML will contain the actual template with the data that has been submitted and injected into the template. Now after that, we shall create a variable called info, and then we await the transporter dot send email. So we are calling the transporter there, and we are sending the email, then we pass in the email options, and what we shall return to the UI, we shall return a message, and then in the message shall say message successfully sent to info dot accepted. So it is an array that we look through and look for that first email where the message was sent. So lastly, what we need to do here is we need to export this, so that we can use it outside of this particular file. So shall export the send email, and one other thing that we need to do is we need to set up the .env file. What I will be doing will be I will be just copying my .env file that I already have, and then we shall be using that. So as you've noticed, we need a couple of setups. What I will do is to just set it up. I know what we are working with as our development our environment is development, um, but I'm still setting it, so I'm using this email, and then this is the password to the email. This email is from Namecheap, but this is the password that I'm using. So I will have this changed after, of course, posting the video. So here we have the mail host and the port. So these are the variables that are going to be used whenever we are sending an email. Now, having configured the .env variables, have the email, of course, logic setup. Now I can move to create the route, uh, which I believe will be among the last pieces of what we shall be working on. So the first thing we shall do here is we shall import the functionality we've just done of send email from the utils.email. Then here we shall export sync this one and function, which will be a post function with the request. If you had something on the response as well, would have used that. Then we shall have, let me use the autocomplete. We shall have the try and catch block here, and in the response for the error, if there is an error, we shall respond with the error back to the user. Of course, you can customize this the way you want. We shall do response.json, and then we shall have error, then error message, and then we need a status. So for now we shall be using the 400. Now here, the data we are receiving from the user, let's destructure the first name. I usually do this to handle cases where a user sends more than what I expect. Let's say he adds some other variables, other some other data that I didn't expect. So I destructure what I expect, and then the rest I will ignore. So we've destructured that data, and now we shall say const email response. So this will shall await the send email, send mail, apologies, and then in here, if you recall, we expect a subject, the template name, and the template data. So we are going first of all to provide the to, which is the email that has been sent to us from the form. Then we shall have a message here, and have a message like email to, or because it looks like it is in the past, we say emailed to the email, and then the next one we shall have the template that we want to work with, which we are calling test email. If we double check here, it is called test email, and then lastly here we construct the actual data, which we call the template data. So here we shall have but we can have these two alongside each other, and then we see what we shall be picking. So I can expand this a little bit, and then we see. So when you look through, we have a variable called template title. So we shall have that variable here, and then we shall give it a title. Let's say test email. Then excuse me, we shall have the email title, and then in the email title and say emailed to, of course, the email. So this can be anything because they are dynamic now among the data we are sending, because you see first name, last name. So we also have last name, and then here we have the email. Yep. So with this, yeah, I think we are good to go. So we can just save this and then come through here and be able to test this. So I'll quickly load up where we shall be confirming whether we've received our email, the right email. So I'll be switching to this and then have it here, and go to Gmail. Quickly, so let's copy our email here, and then try to test with this. Let's see. So if all is done right, we shall be receiving an email here. Let's try to send. Let's first load this and then see. Yep, I get why. So if you remember, we did not write the logic for sending an email here. We still have a spot here that we need to fill, where we need to write the logic to post whatever has been written by the user to that particular endpoint. So let's write that very fast. So of course, first of all, we shall prevent the browser from its default behavior, of course, most likely of reloading the page when it is sending. And yes, so here we shall now use a try and catch, so that if there is an error, what we are choosing to do, because we have two states, we shall first set disabled to false. I think we can do this in the finally, where we say in any case, whether it is successful or not, we shall set this to false. Then the other one is we shall quickly set a timeout here, and then in the timeout, what we are saying is that when you show the message, so because we are going to load the message in the response message state, and let's give this, let's say 30 seconds. So now in the catch block, what we need to do is we shall be setting the error in case there is an error in our sending. So here we shall do we shall pass the error dot message, but this is where now we shall do the actual sending of the email. When this happens, when the user clicks, we shall of course first set is labeled to true, so that we repress the button with the spinner, and then we shall obtain the response from what we've sent. So we shall use the fetch, which is inbuilt functionality within the browser, and we shall post to API slash email, and then we are using a post, so we shall specify the method as post, and then we shall have the body as JSON dot stringify whatever we are sending. So we are stringifying the form data that we receive. So we are stringifying this state that we already set. So we are saying we are stringifying this, but we have an error here because this is not an asynchronous function. So let's quickly turn it in an async function, and then down here we get the result, which will be from the response that comes back. So whenever you use fetch, you need to await twice. You need to convert whatever has come back into, of course, JSON. Now we shall set our response here with a message, which is the result dot message, and that message will be the email. If you recall, when we go back here, you see where is my router? Yeah, when you go back here, you see that just a moment. Oh yeah, when you go back here, you see that after we sending the email, we didn't return anything. So we need to return something. After sending the email, we need to return something to the user, and what we return to the user, we shall return a message. We shall say return a response JSON, and then we shall return the email response that has been given to us with, of course, a status. I think we can use a status of either 201 or 200, which will mean okay. So let's quickly double check before we test. Yeah, so we can do that. Now let's try to test, and if everything has gone well, we expect to see a message here come through. Yeah, shall say message come through. So the message will come through from the info at capidia.cc. Then so let's pick the email quickly. So let's put that email here and click send. So we've sent the email, and we didn't receive a response. So are we doing, what are we missing? We need to, let's see, it is still reloading. Let's see, we are going to try again. Some reason I think I lost some connection, so I'm waiting to regain it back and check quickly. Okay, let me quickly confirm what could be the error in sending the email. Okay, let's quickly troubleshoot this and see from the network. Oh, they're saying it is a bad request. Okay, okay, they are failing to access the path. Okay, let's quickly fix the path problem. Yep. So when we look through here, you see that we are saying go into next and then look into the templates. So we're saying go in here and then look for the templates and look for a template called test email. Let's quickly confirm that. Okay, and also let's add an extra change here, just in case you choose to build and go to production. We need to have this as well. Okay, so what we are getting is that we are unable to access the template from this location, this very location that we are using here. But let me quickly restart the server and test it again. and see whether we shall be able to send the message, or we are still getting the same error like before. I will choose this. Oh, yep, it looks to be a serious problem. Let me also log this error, so we'll troubleshoot it and then see one more time. Let's attempt to send, saying email sender this dot next slash templates, then slash this, and then test mail. Okay, I think I get where the problem is coming from. We need to change this to email and save it, and then come back here, and of course we clear this. So that looks to be where the problem was coming from. So let's attempt to send one more time, and it looks to be sending. Yeah, so we've managed to send out an email, and we are able to confirm from here that we've received that email. So thank you everyone for watching, and this code will be available on GitHub for those who are interested in looking at it. Bye bye.